Oh, those are brand new instruments just for me, right?
Just for you.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again. I'm Mike Russ with ProEdge Dental Water Labs, talking again with Amanda Hill, and this is going to be part 2 of Amanda's top 10 things to do. Well, let me have you introduce it. Might be a better way to say it, because that way you can plug your podcast.
There you go. So this is part 2 of the top 5 things, but we're making them 10. The things you need to do before you get into your dental office. And where this is stemming from is I actually have a podcast. It comes out every Thursday on the Dental Podcast Network, and it's called Your Dental Top 5. So since there's no way I could narrow down the top 5 things to do before you go into the office, because I would forget things, we're going to kind of turn it into a 2-parter, so it can be 10 things.
Fun. All right, good. So let's start with number 6. Oh, actually,
okay.
It doesn't matter, or number 1.
Right. Well, they're all important. You definitely, if you have nitrous and oxygen, you need to check your tanks because they've been kind of hanging out for a little while. And so I want you to make sure that your system works and everything's okay. It's often not something that, some offices don't ever use it. And some offices use it all the time, but you want to make sure those are working. The next one is one of my favorites because, I talked about how much I love the biofilm and the water. You need to give your eye wash station a little love. Because it's gross.
It's a huge pet peeve for me too. The eye wash stations, and I shouldn't say this, but I will go ahead and say it. If I had an eye injury, I would not use an eye wash station in any given office. I'm not blaming anyone for anything. I did speak to a doctor this week who does his every day. He flushes
for him
every day. So I'd feel comfortable there, but I've been around long enough to be scared of eye wash station water.
They get crusty. They're often in the sink where you rinse your instruments. I don't know how that is ever okay. So anyway, flush your eye wash station. I know you don't think you're ever going to use it. I know you're convinced. You wear eye protection. Everybody has eye protection. I'm never going to touch my eye wash station. Just give it a little love. Clean out your eye wash station.
A little love. Okay.
Yeah. And I would say you need to turn on your suction, maybe plug your nose if it hasn't been on for a while. Right. And you also need to change your traps. Probably run suction cleaner through your suction. Right. It's gotten crusty. If you haven't seen any emergency patients, it's right. Probably gross.
That's right. Those hygiene rooms where they've been dry.
Right. And and our patients, I think we need to consider, are going to be nervous about coming back into any medical office because they've been hearing the news, and the news has been, talking about how scary this is and all this stuff. And so the last thing that your patients need is to walk into the stinky suction, grossness smelling thing. You want to give them the best, most confident experience possible.
Infection control must be front and center.
It's going to be huge.
Right. Absolutely. And there's going to be an awareness and even a phobia about aerosols. Right. So yeah, good point.
Absolutely. In fact, a great article just came out in RDH magazine about using your infection control as a marketing procedure. Now, I would caution you to say new things you're doing, because then it makes it sound like you weren't doing things before. Good point. Simply highlight all the great things that you are doing to keep your patients and yourself and everyone in the office safe. It's a great thing.
Dental practices who are good at that kind of marketing are just pretty good at it. They show off that they've got all kinds of stuff that differentiates them from the dentist down the street, whether it's their milling unit in the back, or the fact that they've tested their water and they got their results hanging on the wall, or they've got some other awards. They should be bragging about infection control because patients are going to be on the lookout. And we've even heard of a spike in complaints. Some of those might have been caused by furloughed employees about personal protective equipment, and that's a whole nother story. But if I think we want to maximize things that we're doing in a dental office by show off a little bit about your infection.
Absolutely. It takes time and it costs money. And so you might as well get some kind of benefit from it and let patients see that.
And you're big on showing people the pouches when you open them in front of them.
Yeah. So that's another one. I think that would be number 9. is double check, when you go in the office, double check and make sure that your pouches haven't been compromised. Sometimes, the scaler pushes through that paper because, we try not to, but it happens. If any of that happens, you need to rerun all that equipment. So we're doing this the week prior to opening, rerun those things. And if you're not an office that's a bagging kind of office where you're not bagging all of your RIN, or you're not bagging, I don't know, cotton pliers because you reach for them all the time, or you're not bagging those air water syringe tips, now's your time to start bagging everything. Everything needs to be bagged. If you have things that are unbagged that have been sitting around for 6 weeks or however long this is going to be, you need to re-sterilize all that stuff and you need to bag it.
And don't be shy about opening it right in front of the patient and say, these instruments are sterile. We saved them just for you.
100%. I think nothing should be opened prior to that patient walking in. Let them hear that paper rip.
Right.
Let them see all of that.
And then, those are brand new instruments just for me, right?
Just for you. Just for you.
Nice.
And then I would say number 10 would be check to make sure your computer, see if it needs any updates. So have you had them all off? Have you had them on? It's more about letting that day that you guys do come back, with patients, making sure that day is smooth. I think everybody's going to have a little anxiety, like, oh my gosh, do I remember how to scale teeth? And the answer is yes, you remember how to scale teeth. I swear, you know how to scale teeth. You know how to treat patients. You know what you're doing. But it would be better if less things get thrown in your way. So the smoother it is, the better everyone's going to feel.
Great list. And we reserve the right to add to it.
Oh my gosh, yes, we will add a ton of things to it.